Hello, my brilliant cosmic particles, ready to break a few laws of physics today. Ah, there you are! I was just recalibrating the multiverse, tweaking the very fabric of reality itself. Come in, come in! Welcome to the science agency, where curiosity is our currency and wonder is our guide. They say reality is serious business, but I say it's just the most magnificent experiment waiting to be explored. Today, we're firing up our quantum imagination engine and plugging in a very, very strange idea. Are you ready to question everything, to challenge the impossible? Because what if humans weren't born the way we think they are? Fasten your neural seatbelts. This is going to be a wild, brilliant, mind-bending ride. Phase 1. Welcome, fellow cosmic explorers, to a universe where everything you thought you knew about human life gets flipped upside down. Just imagine, in this wild alternate reality, humans are born not from cozy, nurturing wombs, but from giant, squishy, external eggs laid by their parents. That's right, no gestation, no 9-month wait, just a dramatic, biological egg drop into the world. Picture it, a lush garden of colorful eggs, each one shimmering with anticipation, nestled among leaves and twigs, ready to hatch into a tiny human marvel. And this is where it gets insanely fascinating. Instead of a gradual, delicate inside-the-body development, these creatures emerge from their shells fully formed, or perhaps partly squishy and sticky like a surprise gift wrapped in goo. The sounds, oh, the sounds. The cracking of shells, the muffled cries as tiny humans burst into the world, echoing like a surreal symphony of chaos and wonder, and the feelings. Just imagine the parents, suddenly the guardians of fragile, shell-bound bundles of potential and external incubation that makes birth a literal egg-laying event. Think of the implications. Parental roles now include shell guarding, egg hatching ceremonies, and perhaps even competitive nest building. And that changes everything. Society, biology, even what it means to be human, all turned upside down by this bizarre egg-based miracle. So, fellow adventurers, fasten your seatbelts. This is just the beginning. What other absurd chain reactions do you think will ripple through this crazy universe? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas. Phase 2, pause 2, and here we go, folks! Imagine a world where humans, instead of carrying babies internally, lay their eggs. Yes, eggs, like some bizarre feathered dinosaur species gone wild in a sci-fi zoo. The moment of reproductive magic is hidden deep inside anymore. No, it's out there in the open, visible, vulnerable, and oh so ceremonial. You hear the gentle, rhythmic crackling of shells as eggs are laid in communal nests. Think of it as the ultimate biological potluck, where everyone's contribution is an egg, and the feast lasts for days. And just picture the hatching seasons, these grand, almost sacred events, like cosmic fireworks, where tiny humans burst forth amidst cheers, drumming, and elaborate rituals. The air would be thick with the scent of warmed eggs and anticipation, the ground vibrating with the collective heartbeat of communities watching over their fragile future. Families, oh yes, they become more than just kin. They rehatch mates, bonded by shared incubation rituals and perhaps even secret songs sung to keep the tiny embryos cozy. Society begins to reconfigure itself around these rituals. Egg-laying ceremonies become festivals with costumes, dances, and chants that echo through the streets. And that changes everything. Kinship isn't just blood anymore. It's shell, hatch, and new life. The roles become more visible, more dramatic. Guardians, incubators, ceremonial hatchers, all strutting their stuff in a dance as old as time, but much, much stranger. And that, my friends, is just the beginning. What wild, absurd chain reaction do you think emerges next? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas. Ways 3. Wotole jole jole. Vese wotole de. Waste. Now, hold on to your lab coats, because things are about to get biologically bananas. Imagine a world where humans aren't born. Nope, they're laid out in eggs instead. And not just any eggs, think of them as tiny, fragile spacecraft, each with its own protective shell, humming with the potential of new life. So, what does this mean for our bodies? Well, you'd probably develop tougher, more armor-like skin, like walking, talking turtle shells. Or perhaps you'd grow external reproductive sacs, like biological backpacks, hanging from your sides, ready to incubate the next generation. And here's where it gets really wild. These adaptations aren't just cosmetic, they change your very survival. External eggs mean you need defenses against predators and the environment, so maybe your skin toughens up, becoming almost stone-like, or you grow a layer of bioglass that shimmers in sunlight, blinging out your new biological bling. And imagine the sounds cracking shells in the morning like a symphony of life, or the squish of moist sacs when you're ready to hatch. This shift to external incubation transforms humans from internal miracle workers into environmental survivalists, focusing energy on protecting and nurturing their fragile offspring outside the body. And that changes everything. You'd have to develop new instincts, like carrying your eggs everywhere, constantly vigilant of threats. Just picture the chaos, the wonder, the absurdity. That's just one of the consequences. What other absurd chain reaction can you think of? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas. Phase 4. Pause 2 seconds. Welcome to the wild, unpredictable world where society has totally flipped the script on reproduction. Imagine this. Instead of discreet childbirth or private moments of miracle, entire communities have become bustling hatcheries. Instead of families, you have castes, laying specialists, whose job it is to produce the eggs, and hatchers, who nurture and raise the tiny, squirming bundles of chaos. The sounds are deafening, egg splatting, chirping, and the frantic pecking of tiny beaks echoing through communal nurseries. Privacy. That's an antiquated concept. Reproduction is now a communal event, celebrated with noisy festivals, where everyone's business is everyone's business. Laws are rewritten, reproductive rights are now social mandates, with regulations on egg-laying schedules, hatchling care, and even reproduction quotas. Just imagine the sensory overload, the sticky, warm embrace of a hatchery, the faint smell of incubators, the constant hum of life pulsating from every corner. And this is where it gets interesting. The social hierarchy shifts dramatically. The laying specialists hold the power revered as the creators of life, while hatchers are the nurturers and protectors, almost like a divine caste system. And just like that, society is no longer built on individual privacy, but on collective reproduction. That's just one of the consequences. What other absurd chain reaction can you think of? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas. Phase 5, pause 2 seconds. Welcome to the wild, wacky world where humanity has gone full on bioengineering mad scientists. Imagine this. Instead of simply giving birth or adopting, humans now develop high-tech, climate-controlled nests. Think of them as luxury incubators with Wi-Fi, where eggs are carefully laid, monitored, and nurtured. These aren't to your grandma's eggs. These are meticulously engineered marvels, equipped with bio-shields that deflect germs, predators, and even the existential dread of an unpredictable climate. And just imagine the sounds, gentle hums of climate regulators, soft glows from bioluminescent nests, and the occasional triumphant cheer when a new hatchling emerges, perfectly timed and flawlessly nurtured. It's like living inside a sci-fi petting zoo, but for humans. Now education shifts gears, no longer just reading, writing, and arithmetic, but reproductive engineering and environmental mastery become the new core skills. Kids learn how to craft the perfect nest, how to control humidity and temperature with a flick of their wrist, and how to design shields that could repel anything from common colds to alien invasions. And here, kicker, laying eggs becomes a skill passed down through generations, an art form, a sacred tradition, and that changes everything. Just imagine future societies where egg-laying is as routine as brushing teeth and hatchery management is a highly sought-after profession. It's chaos, beauty, and absurdity all rolled into one. That's just one of the consequences. What other bizarre chain reactions can you dream up? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs fresh ideas. Pause. Two's much stranger. Phase 6. Welcome to the wild, wacky world of cultural myths, religions, and philosophies that sprout like bizarre fungi around eggs and hatching. Imagine entire civilizations elevating the act of eggs cracking open to divine status shrines built around giant, shimmering eggs with pilgrims chanting, "Hatch, hatch," as if it's the universe's biggest, most sacred drumroll. Festivals explode with egg toss competitions where the sound of cracking shells echoes like thunder and everyone wears yolk-colored robes that shimmer under the sun. Art becomes obsessively obsessed with eggs. Paintings of celestial eggs floating in cosmic seas. Sculptures of divine hatchlings emerging victorious from their shells. And these rituals? Oh, they're not just pretty pictures. They're full-blown ceremonies of fertility, protection, and rebirth. Imagine priests blessing eggs with chants that sound a bit like a cosmic remix of Pop Goes the Weasel, while dancing around bonfires that glow like molten yolks. For some, the cracking egg symbolizes the very act of creation, divine intervention in the chaos of existence. As societies develop, myths sprout that eggs are sacred vessels, carrying the soul's journey, and that any harm to an egg is akin to blasphemy, like tossing a sacred relic into the trash. This cultural obsession fuels festivals, art, and even laws protecting eggs with the zeal of medieval relics. And this, my friends, this is where it gets much stranger. Because when you elevate something as simple as an egg into divine territory, you open a portal to a universe where every crack could be a cosmic revelation. That's just one of the consequences. What other absurd chain reaction can you think of? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas. Phase 7, pause 2S. Welcome to a world where the economy has been flipped on its shell. Imagine this, entire industries sprouting like mushrooms after a rain of eggs. You hear the rhythmic hum of conveyor belts ferrying fragile, shimmering eggs to incubation chambers that resemble futuristic nurseries. Think giant glass domes filled with a symphony of hissing, chirping, and the occasional crackle of emerging life. The job market, oh, much stranger. Egg custodians, hatchery engineers, and shell architects become the new elite. People whose titles sound like they belong in a sci-fi novel. And the markets. Just imagine stock exchanges vibrating with the ticker symbols of eggs, Yolk Corp, Shellink, and Hatchery Holdings, each vying for the biggest crack in the market. But here, where it gets really wild. As society pivots around this new egg-centric economy, environmental concerns start cracking the surface. Habitats once lush and wild are now battlegrounds for egg preservation, with conservationists racing against time to protect precious nesting grounds from the invasive expansion of incubators. The ecological footprint? enormous, massive, sprawling incubation farms sprawl across landscapes, consuming resources at a rate that makes your head spin. Think energy, water, and the rare minerals needed for high-tech incubators. And that changes everything. Suddenly, innovations in sustainability are the new gold rush. Solar-powered hatcheries, biodegradable shells, and eco-friendly nesting zones. It's chaos, it's brilliance, and it's a world where everything is just a little more fragile, a little more precious. So, just imagine the sounds of bustling markets, the sight of giant incubators glowing under the sun, and the feel of the tension in the air. Because in this crazy universe, the future is literally eggs, pecked to hatch into a whole new economy. It's just one of the consequences. What other absurd chain reaction can you think of? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas. Phase 8, pause, 2S. Imagine a future where humans have not just adapted to eggs, but where our very bodies are shaped by the relentless demands of external incubation. Yes, my fellow explorers, over generations, the act of laying eggs outside ourselves has driven our evolution into some much, much stranger territory. Picture this, humans with reinforced pelvic bones, designed to cradle enormous shells, or perhaps with specialized skin that thickens and becomes waterproof, so we can withstand the humid, echoing chambers of our incubators. And what about the senses? Maybe our ears have become more attuned to the faint cracks and whispers of hatching, or our eyes have evolved to detect subtle shifts in temperature or humidity, those precious signals of imminent emergence. And this is where it gets interesting, because as the boundary between biology and technology blurs, some of us might start integrating artificial genetic modifications, like bioimplants that monitor and optimize incubation conditions, turning humans into living, breathing incubator systems. Imagine walking down the street, hearing the gentle hum of biological monitors inside us like a futuristic symphony of life support. The very act of reproduction becomes a communal ritual, an external spectacle that shapes our society, our laws, and our identity. And that changes everything. Our evolution isn't just biological anymore. It's a chaotic dance with technology, with nature, and with the universe's most absurd, wonderful ideas. That's just one of the consequences. What other absurd chain reaction can you think of? Write it down in the comments. My quantum toaster needs new ideas.